City are level. Rooney! Oh! Here's Nani, can he wrap it up? Oh, pick that out!
Oh, are you serious? Gareth Bale just on the pitch. One of the best.
The offseason's been a majority talk of, Liverpool. Obviously, there's a lot of teams made a lot of good moves, but I think Liverpool's been the talk of the town, especially as of late with the whole Isak, drama, if you want to call it, which I honestly don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, I agree. Especially, we've talked about it a little bit before, but Liverpool went from their championship winning team had pretty much no striker. It was like Luis Diaz in like a false nine role. Like they didn't have a true out and out striker. I don't know. I think Isak's a great player, and I think he could do well there. And I think for long term, I think it could be a good move for them. But if TK didn't have the game he did, I feel like I wouldn't be feeling this as strong. But like he played great.
It looked really good,
and I feel like it shows that like they have still that same integrity, that shape and formation that they've had before, but now with a good striker that can link up. He's a good hold-up player. He could drop when he need to. He can make forward runs. He could play out to the wing. So I don't know. I'm curious to see if that trade did happen, how is the formation going to look? Are they going to be playing with two strikers? Is one going to be more of a central hold-up player while the other one kind of drifts and is more free roaming? And then how is that going to affect the rest of the team? Like, are they going to get Salah involved as much? Is that space going to be crowded? Is it going to force him to kind of be behind the ball more, not making as many runs? So, I don't know. I almost feel like, in one sense, they may have a good enough team just to win it as it is. So, like, do they really need him? But then you look at it to the point, like, are they looking to this season and beyond? And maybe later in the season, too, as they need to make more rotational players. Having someone like that, of course, like, what team wouldn't want that player?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, I think I mentioned this to you before, who's not going to go for him, right? Like, if Liverpool does have the opportunity to sign him, why would they not go for him?
Yeah,
I agree with the point. Like, it's the point that I think a lot of professional sports teams, at least some of them, we see this, right? It's like the all-star team. You're building a Dodgers team. You know what I mean? You're bringing in, you've got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gets to the point of, like, is there too many stars? And then, like, which one do you cater to? Like, to your point. And to your point about Salah, like, he played great. I think he looked great. Some people were saying they didn't think he had a good performance, but I didn't see anything there that really, like, made me like, oh, he's 33. He lost his step. I think he looked sharp. He looked quick. He looked, his movement was great. I think he's going to be completely fine. And if he does what he did last week, every single week, who wouldn't want that? He's going to end up with, runner. He's going to be in the running for most goals of the season. So from the perspective of, like, the stars on that team, I get that. For me, the thing that's kind of like is even more interesting is just how everything is unfolding, because it goes to this bigger conversation of, like, players versus clubs. What we're seeing, I think, in sports across the board is players are looking for long-term deals, right? Like, players want to secure their future. And I get that. You're playing a sport, a contact sport. You could blow out your Achilles tendon. They're going to throw you to the wayside and you're done, right? Like, it's over for you. So I understand why people want this long-term contract. But Isak, so we look at that with Isak, right? He's got 3 years left on his contract, I believe. You signed that contract. Like you tried to secure your future, and you made that contract. And although I'm normally always for the players, I also understand the Newcastle perspective, which is, this is kind of, I mean, I don't know how much time they had, but it doesn't seem like this came about with enough time for Newcastle to search for his replacement, right? Which they're obviously going to want to do. They're going to want to, bring somebody in before they get rid of him, because if you get rid of Isak for I think the asking price that Newcastle wants for him is 150 million. If you sell him for 150 million, well, whoever you go to get a new player is going to know you got money now because you just sold him for 150 million, so you could pay up. They're going to want to bring somebody in and then let him go. One, and the question now is who's available, right? Like who's available for his replacement on such short notice? So that's point number one. And two, if obviously there's the possibility that they don't want him in the mix because of morale, right? Like, how's the team going to take it? How is this whole thing going to work out, right? So maybe they do want to let him go. But if I was Newcastle from a business perspective, you better believe I'm holding out for as much money as possible, because if I'm letting you go, I'm going to win the trade somehow, right? I'm losing a star player. I'm going to at least hold out for 150 million.
Yeah.
As much money as they're willing to spend. So I think it'll be interesting. That obviously the deadline's fast approaching. It's September 1st, I believe, right? Is the closing.
Yep.
And a decision needs to be made, and I'm super curious to see if something will get done, or if, who knows, maybe Newcastle said, dude, you're not going anywhere this season, so I know you either play or you sit down until next season when we're ready to let you go, when we have a replacement. I don't know what. It would be interesting to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, it's just to not play at all, to refuse. Like, I just really like what happened in the locker room. Like, what happened. Because like, there's always players. They have disagreements with the management, the organization, and at some point you could come to a resolution. But it just seems like so cut and dry. Like, he's refusing to play for them. And I don't know. I just think it's funny. There's like, I'm not going to play for you guys, and I'm demanding a trade to the champions Liverpool.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Liverpool if they had the opportunity? I understand that, but it's also kind of like, Newcastle was willing to give you the contract, and you know what I mean? Like, at what point too is it disrespectful? I'm obviously not like a diehard Newcastle fan, as I wear my Bayern München shirt, but I would be curious to know like what. And I've been listening to different people's perspectives on it, but it's interesting to know like what are the Liverpool or the Newcastle fans thinking? Like, oh, cool, we did all this for you. Now you're not even willing to play. You're refusing to play.
Well, another thing I was thinking about too is Isak's Swedish, I believe. So, like, Sweden's still in qualification for the World Cup. And imagine if they qualify for the World Cup and he's refusing to play anything for how many months. Like, who's going to not want to play and have regular football leading up to a World Cup next summer? Like, that's just another thought process where I'm like, is he just like playing his cards right now, like hoping to force a trade? And if it really came down to it and they're like, no, like, we're not trading you, like, are they just going to bench him for the rest of the season? Like, is he really going to refuse to play? Like,
I don't think you bench him, right? Like, there's no way.
Well, they're not going to bench him, but if he's saying he's not going to show up to the games, he's not going to show up to practice, like, how can you not? Like,
yeah,
the whole locker room's going to turn, and it's like, okay, you're going to start this guy over the other several strikers lining up, like, fighting their ass off to be in the lineup. Like, I don't know. I hope a trade happens for that guy just so he could be playing somewhere. Like, he's I just don't know. Like, I don't know if Liverpool, like, does that make it makes the most sense for him, but like, does it make the most sense for Liverpool? Like, like you said, are we going to be able? Would they be able to fit him in to all the changing parts that are already going on? And like, one person we haven't talked to, which I feel like is probably one of your biggest losers of the week of Liverpool, Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, I made this point. I mean, look, I made this point before. Let's move away from Isak for a moment and just talk about like Liverpool in general. Liverpool, their attack looks good. It at least looked decent, and to your point, with all the new moving parts and everybody coming in and the changes, it's not an immediate like fire on all cylinders type of a deal. I mean, me and you both know, I like anytime you were ever borrowed for a club or you went to a new team, there's always that like adjustment period, and I think we saw that with them. And although they looked decent, I'll tell you, they looked like they had weaknesses, especially their their backs. Bournemouth had a plan, and I think they were attacking that right side, which would have been Liverpool's left back. They were clearly just going after that side, and they were able to show vulnerabilities. And I think for a team, if a team like Bournemouth can do something like that, what happens when you get to one of these bigger teams? You know, Liverpool's got Newcastle coming up. It shows that there's obviously, you know, they're not just going to run away with it. And I think that's what actually to me it made me excited, because I don't want to see someone just destroy everybody. I want to see a close matches.
I mean, it's based on this first game, how Liverpool played last season, they're going to attack teams, and they use everybody. Like, their left and right backs, they get up the field. And I think we saw that with Bournemouth. Like, both their goals, it kind of started off with either a ball was lost in the middle of the field or it was a counterattack. And it just seemed that, like, the wingers or the left back, right backs, they were getting far up the field, and it just left them vulnerable for that counterattack. So if they're playing that really attack-minded football, it's going to leave the door open for teams to punish them. But I feel like we're probably going to see with Liverpool, like, a lot of 3-1s, 4-1s, 4-2s.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a high-scoring offense. I mean, it was Ekitike, Gakpo, Chiesa, Salah, like, they literally had everybody participating in these goals. And I think that just shows, like, the quality of their team. Like,
oh yeah,
any one player on that team can be dangerous. It's just keeping that flow within the team. I don't know. I'd be interested to see just, like, where they go with this team. Even if Isak's trade doesn't go through, I think they are still the front runners to repeat it. But there are some other teams that are looking like they could be pretty formidable this season as well.
We could go ahead and talk about some of those teams, and if you wanted to, we can go ahead and talk to what I will say. I do think they have what it takes to get back on top. The Man City boys. I know you want to talk about Manchester, but let's talk about these boys.
The other side of Manchester.
We'll get to your Manchester. We'll talk about my Manchester, and then we'll talk about your Manchester.
Okay. My Manchester's full of a bunch of pain and misery for the last few years. So.
I don't know that that's going to be true this year based off of what we saw, but that Man City game, they looked. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. They were playing the Wolves. I don't know that that's the strongest team, right? And it's not going to be the clearest of showings, but there were some things that I saw in that game that I thought, like, man. And in one particular play, on one of the goals, Haaland makes a run forward. He doesn't play him the ball. Whoever was dribbling it, I'm not 100% sure who, holds the ball. Haaland just stands there. He's like 40 yards offsides, and he just stands there. He doesn't move. He has the mentality and knows. He knew the game was the development of the game was headed in that direction, and sure enough, makes a run down the line. There's a cross into the middle, and Haaland is behind the ball now in an onside position, but in front of every defender. And I just thought to myself, man, that's tough, dude. Like, the smarts he had for that play, to be standing in an offside position so clearly and just be like, cool, I'm gonna let this develop and I'm gonna be in the right spot. And then some of their other goals, Churchkey, debut goal for
Yep.
Churchky. Looked good. It was it was like top of the box, cut back. That team looks like they can compete. It'll be interesting too because obviously there's rumors of Donnarumma possibly coming in.
Yeah.
There were rumors of Rodrigo being in the mix. I haven't heard as much rumblings about that now. So
Well,
who
then
knows?
also the Dutch debutant, which I'll probably ruin his name, but Tijani Reindeers,
Oh, yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers, whatever you want to call him.
This is where if any European listeners are watching, they're like, get these guys off the screen.
Yeah,
It's all right.
whatever.
For all the
Half the
American
people
listeners.
you probably couldn't pronounce it either. So whoever's
Yeah.
listening, get a good laugh at that. No, I was like super impressed with his performance. He scores with his left, assists with his right. Like if he would have scored a header or done a Zidane headbutt, it would have been like a complete game for him. But no, I was really impressed with him. And Haaland. I mean, with Haaland, I feel like a lot of people complained about his performance last season, just compared to his performances before. But starting off with a brace, I know it's against Wolverhampton, but you can't have a better start than that. And I just feel like they looked like really solid. And it just makes it interesting. I think it's going to be a really good race for this season.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I think if we were to move to the other side and talk about your boys, I will say, although low scoring, that Manchester Arsenal game was, in my opinion, one of the more interesting. Low scoring, but you would have thought, like going into it, I think everybody would have thought Arsenal was going to dominate, but
Oh, yeah.
it didn't really look like that, right? It was, in my opinion, they had the one goal and then just sat back. It was like they sat on it and didn't really have a lot of crazy opportunities. But towards the end, Manchester United was putting it on them.
I mean, I'm surprised that they look like the better team. And, at the end of the day, they lost. They didn't get the goal. The call didn't go their way. And it's not always the team that plays the best on the field, but the team that gets it done. But it is like after their worst season in half a century, finishing I believe 15th last season. My expectations of going into this first game, starting off against Arsenal, were pretty damn low. So,
Fair enough.
the Arsenal scored early, and I was just like, okay, like they're just gonna run away with this game. But no, I was impressed. To a certain extent, like there's hope. I wouldn't say it was like the best performance. Like they still have a ton of stuff to work on. I think like their challenges have just been like finding that goal. For the last few years, it just seems like it's always like that. They're either getting killed by the teams they should beat, or almost beating the big teams. It's just been too many games like that. So they just need to finish their chances. And I've said this before to a lot of other friends that are Man U fans. With Manchester United, I feel like we'll have a good result, but then we'll lose to these mid-table, lower-table teams, or we'll get like a tie against them. And that's what I feel like is separating them from moving up into the higher stage of the table. So I just hope to see better results, like more consistent results from them. But I don't know. I feel like they made some good, interesting signings. What was your thoughts on? I know he didn't play a lot, but what was your thoughts on Sesko coming in? It was like the last 20 minutes.
I kind of wish we would have seen more from him to get a better picture. I think if he would have started, we would have seen like a more clearer image of what that is going to look like. And just real quick from a more general perspective, like it is way too early to be judging any one of these players on these teams, right? Like Gyökeres, Wirtz,
yeah, I was kind
Seshko,
of
like
screwing around with Wirtz, but
but
it's
I mean,
true.
yeah, maybe they had bad games, and it's true. Wirtz was non-existent, dude. Like he was really, but again, he's in a new league, a new team, a new system, playing a position that he's probably instructed to play differently than he's used to. It's like you go from, if you're from the United States and at least our soccer organizations, you go from being the best player on select team and you move up to club and then you're like just one of everybody else and you got to find where you fit in.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of people talk about on other, shows and in whatever about talking about like, oh, I was really disappointed in his performance, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's way too early to be disappointed in anybody's performance. They're moving into these new systems. It's going to take a few weeks probably, but I think within that time frame, we'll start to see the Wirtz and the Gyökeres and the Seshko, like they'll all move into their places, and I think that's when it'll start to get really interesting. I just didn't see enough from Seshko to get an idea.
I honestly, I don't think it was good or bad. Like it was the last 20 minutes of the game. Like, I'm kind of surprised. I thought he would play more, but I feel like it's a long season. I was pretty. It was interesting to see Cunha and Mbeumo playing. Like I feel like they both made a lot of good chances. Like I forget if there was like a breakaway in the first half for Cunha, and like he could have leveled it there. He kind of got caught up by the defender. But just like I don't know, I feel like they were creating chances. The final shot, the final touch wasn't there. But that's where like it gives me some more hope that like if they could continue to like be attacking, be creative, and like creating these chances, these players will find the way to win games and to pull it out. Like I think Arsenal did a great job. Like they flipping the coin to the other side. They did not have a good game. But it's one of those games where like if you could come to Man U first game of the season and get a 1-0, like I don't care what form they've been in, like that's a difficult stadium to play at. And that's like those are the types of games that make a team in the running to win the league. Like,
100%.
Fighting, like they didn't play the greatest. It was an ugly game by them. I'm pretty sure if you asked any Arsenal fan, the coach, the players, like they would all agree like they could have played a better game. But at the end of the day, like they won. So like that's a huge win for them. They won away on the road.
They walked away with
the game
3
opener.
points. Yeah.
So you could talk as much crap about all of their players, but like at the end of the day, like they did enough.
Yeah, and it is a huge win. It's a huge win because if you think about it too, they go to Old Trafford, they walk away with 3 points in the scenario where their team is more than likely only going to get better. So the next time you see Manchester United, it's at home. So to go to an away stadium, like to your point, which is probably one of the more difficult stadiums to play in, and get the 3 points in the position your team's in now, they'll probably, coaches and players alike would probably say that they weren't happy with, the way they played maybe, but I guarantee you everybody's happy with the result. Yeah. I'm gonna read these off to you, and then I want you to I'm gonna ask you a question. Total shots 22-9, shots on target 7-3, possession 61.1 to 38.9, all in favor of Man United. So here's the ultimate question I guess I would ask. Good day for Man United or bad day for Arsenal? What does it come down to?
I think I feel it's a cheap way out, but I feel like it's a mix of both. Like, I think it was a bad day. I don't know. I see it from a lens, though. Like, ever since Alex Ferguson left, I feel like it's just been this battle to like, how does Man U get back on the top? So whenever I see like some positive performances, I'm like, all right, like we're going in the right direction. And they do this to me every season. So it's like, I think it's a mix of both. Like, I think if Man U would have finished like a handful of their chances, this game could be a completely different script. So I don't know. This is the worst question to ask me when it comes to Man U.
I'll give it to you though, because I do agree. I think there are good things on Manchester United's side, and I think there were some bad things on Arsenal's side.
Yeah.
I mean,
one thing I wanted to point out, like when I was like rewatching back the highlights, and Dorgu, like he hit a shot that like rattled off the post in like around the 30th minute. And I'm just thinking, like, if they scored there and tied it up, with the momentum that Man U had, it would have been a completely different game.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it would have forced Arsenal to come back on the counter, which would have opened up more space. I don't know. I wish we could have seen that game get leveled, because I think the game would have opened up a lot more. I think Arsenal would have been forced to attack more instead of sitting back as much as they did, and I don't know. I think that would have been more interesting. Maybe Gyökeres would have gotten more involved, and we would have seen more entertainment on both ends of the ball. But again, at the end of the day, it's like Arsenal scored early. They did enough. Man U didn't finish their chances, so it's like I think Man U could have done better, and I'm glad Arsenal didn't do better, because it could have been an ugly game.
I guess that's very true. I am of the mindset that this is the Premier League. On any given day, any one of these teams can beat anybody else, right? Even if you take, you could take one of the newly promoted teams and put them against Liverpool, and if Liverpool has a bad day and they capitalize, somebody's going to walk away with 3 points on Liverpool. I think that it's that close, and especially when you get towards the top and you look at, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. I think when you get up there in the upper portion of the table, I'll tell you this much, at least from the first week, I don't see a clear like walk away winner. I think realistically, any one of those teams probably has what it takes to win the league. I think it's all going to just be really consistency and who takes advantage of their opportunities, right? Like, to your point, you can't be losing the games to these like lower mid-tier teams if you're one of those top dogs and you want to take over the spot. Like, you have to be taking advantage of every one of them. Yeah. So with that being said, I don't know if you've got the lineups in front of you, but what are you looking forward to as we move into week number 2? There are some interesting matches. I'll tell you, for me, right off the bat, not just because I'm pushing for them to take the league this year, but the Manchester City Tottenham game I think will probably be a good one. Yeah. Then you also have
Tottenham. I feel like they were kind of like a surprise of the week. Like, it's just Tottenham. Like, Tottenham always does Tottenham things, but they look good. Richarlison, I feel like, had potentially a like goal of the year candidate in like the first week. Yeah.
Week 1. How crazy would it be if we move down and at the end of the season you look back and the goal of the year is week 1? That'd be kind of crazy.
Imagine if that's the best game Tottenham play all year too. Wouldn't it be surprising?
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, Tottenham could do Tottenham things. Like, that's one of those situations. Manchester City can't let Tottenham have one of those days. Like, if Manchester City wants to take the league, they've got to do what they did last week, and they can't let those things happen. So I think
like Tottenham might beat Man City and then like lose to Burnley the next week. Like, that's like could happen.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said though, like what games am I looking forward to? Let's see. I was just pulling up the list. I'm interested to see. the Arsenal Leeds game. I feel like Leeds had a good performance, like first game back in the Premier League. I think that's like the type of teams where like they're going to be fighting every game. What was it? 3 teams came up last season, and the same 3 teams went down. So like I'm that's another talking point I'm interested to see and like see how that plays out during the season. Like, are we going to see the same teams get relegated down? Is it going to be a new 3 teams? I think we're just going to see a lot of battles from the bottom of the table to the top because everyone has something they're fighting for, whether it's preventing relegation, those that are fighting for Europa League, for the Champions League top 4, just the title race in general. So I feel like it's going to be close. That's a good one. Of course, Man U. I just hope they could just get some consistency this season. Just as much as your dog is consistently licking your face.
Dog's back. I'm just trying to ignore her, so eventually she'll get bored and walk away.
I don't know. Looking at the games, though, like I feel like it could be... I don't know. There's always surprises. I feel like every week there's always like going to be like 1 or 2 games that didn't go as expected. But I don't know. I'm curious looking at the schedule. Like the Man City Tottenham game, that's an interesting one. I think that's the biggest game of the week, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I would also be interested, this Liverpool-Newcastle game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't expect Isak to be there, but just because of all the talk.
He's like, hey, I want to do a little a little showcase for Liverpool. Let's see what they'd be missing.
Yeah, here's my tryout. I think it's just more so interesting because it'll probably be a good game. I think Newcastle can look good and maybe put a challenge on, especially if Liverpool don't have a good game. But
yeah,
I just think it'll be interesting. I don't know.
I don't know that I tried rewatching that Newcastle Aston Villa game, and I feel like that had to be one of the most boring games.
Yeah.
Did you look at do you have the stats for that game up?
Yes, I do. I did.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find him.
Oh yeah, it's right here. Anything particular you're looking at?
Just like run down the stats. So like shots, possession.
So possession was 60% favor of Newcastle. 16 shots Newcastle, 3 for Aston Villa.
How many on target though for Newcastle out of 16 shots? 3.
And guess what? Total shots for Aston Villa 3. Shots on target 3. 100%.
Yeah. I was like, it was like dreadful. Like watching that game, I was like, I don't know. I just expected a little bit more from Newcastle, but maybe they're just hurting without Isak out there playing. But I was just like, man.
You would imagine that they are, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. What about Chelsea? We didn't talk about Chelsea, but Crystal Palace 0-0. Is that one of those games where they should have capitalized if they want to make a run? I mean, if you look at the stat line, 71% possession, 19 total shots only 3 shots on target. You know from us playing FC that I love my boy Cole Palmer. Ice in his veins, Cole Palmer. But yeah, I kind of feel like that's one of those ones. I think Crystal Palace has a good team, and I think they could. I think Crystal Palace is one of those teams that could maybe make some upsets this season. But I kind of feel like that's one that Chelsea should have taken the 3 points on.
I mean, they're coming off of winning the Club World Cup, like playing like one of the best games I've seen Chelsea play in a long time
against a PSG team that I think most would argue is possibly one of the most stacked teams in the world right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask anybody going into that game, like if you would have said Chelsea's going to win 4-0, like people would laugh at you. Like maybe if it was like a 1-0, like it was a close game, but like
yeah,
Chelsea like came in and like wrecked them. So I don't know. I guess I expected more like coming into the first game after that game, but like I don't know. Maybe the players were still tired from kicking PSG's ass or something.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you would have expected them to be riding that high, right? Riding
yeah,
that momentum of just coming off the Club World Cup, and I don't. It wasn't there, but
it just seemed like their attack was like off. Just like going back to like Club World Cup, I feel like they were just like making like really decisive runs, like getting like clear passes, clear plays, and I don't know. They just seemed like they were like missing cohesion in this first game. Just seemed, I don't know, just kind of like a sluggish start. Um, so I don't know. I feel like I'm expecting more. Like we've seen what they can do to one of the best teams in the world, so you kind of have that expectation. Like they need to come out and like consistently do that. Like if I'm no like big Chelsea fan or anything like that, but I'm sure a lot of Chelsea supporters were like, "What the hell?" Like
yeah.
they were probably expecting this to be another blowout game to start off the season, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I think there'll be ones to watch.
Yeah,
But regardless, I think there's not like there's not a ton of games that I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be like a crazy game next week. I think there's some decent ones, but to your point, I think Manchester City Tottenham might be the game of the week. It's probably the one that I will be focused on most.
yeah,
I think Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest might be a decent game to watch from an entertainment standpoint. But we'll see. We'll see what the week brings us.
And then Liverpool Newcastle, just because of all the drama going on between them.
100%.
It might end up being an interesting game because like Newcastle's gonna be like, let's go and show them why our boys should stay here.
It's in Newcastle, right? Like Newcastle's home, so it's like that's just gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be an interesting dynamic. Like,
yeah,
it's the storyline, right? Like everybody's gonna be talking about it. It's his team versus the team that he wants to go to. So I don't know. It'll just be an interesting game. It'll for sure be one of the ones that I try and watch if I'm able to. I should be able to. But anything else you got for us?
So if you had to name the biggest winner, whether it's a team, a player, anything, biggest winner of the week, biggest loser of the week, what would you say?
The biggest winner of the week and the biggest loser of the week.
I know, putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
And we've talked about a few different things. I mean, it could be specific players you thought played well, specific teams that maybe lived up to your expectations or exceeded it. And then like for losers, it could be like bad players, anyone in particular that you're thinking of. Boring games.
No, initially it comes up with like the teams is what I think about. I think to your point that we talked a little bit about it earlier, I think the biggest winner would possibly have to be Sunderland. We didn't talk about the game much, but if you look at the stat line of the game, West Ham had 62% possession, 12 shots, 4 on target. You know, they had 550 passes. It looked like a game that I think West Ham possibly, like on paper, but it looked like West Ham could have won that game. But to go 3-0,
reality, though,
on paper, but to come out 3-0 and make a statement, being back in the league, that it's got to be. I feel like it's got to be. That
was
winner.
Definitely like one I had on my list of like, for me, like one of the biggest winners of the week. What was it? 9 years since they last were in the Premier League.
I don't know.
It's something like, I think it was like
it's been a while,
8 or 9 years. So like that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing for the fans. It's a big win, like regardless of who you're playing, to like come back from the championship and you're back in the Premier League and you get a 3-0 win. I don't think it could have been a better start for them. And their biggest thing, like that's just a team. Like I said, like all the teams that got promoted I'm just interested to see, like, can they all stay up? Like, who are any of them going to fall back into the relegation zone as we go throughout the season? So I think it's a great performance to start off, and I think it'll give them some confidence that they have a team that could continue to compete throughout the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say they would be my winner. For losers, honestly, I would probably say Chelsea. And the only reason is because if they want to be in that mix, you talk Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. I don't think any of them had maybe Man City was a pretty dominant performance, but if you look at the other big hitters, their performances weren't great, but guess what? They still came out with the win and they still took the 3 points. I think coming up with a draw is a loss on Chelsea's standpoint. I think they should have come out with the win. So for me, just seeing, the expectation is that they're going to be up there contending for the title. They should have pulled away 3 points in this game.
No, I agree. Like, the other three teams, like, I feel like they all had positive things that came out of it. Man City, I feel like it was a dominant performance. Arsenal, yeah, they didn't play the best, but like they grinded out a win. And then Liverpool, it was like they let them come back. It was 2-2, but like they showed that they could get back on the throttle and like finish out that game. Whereas Chelsea is just like, where's the upside? Like, what is the positive thing to take out of week one? So I agree. So my biggest winners and losers. So, and this one might be kind of, we didn't really talk about them, and their team lost, but Semenyo scoring 2 goals against Liverpool, especially after like at the beginning of the game, he went through the fan, like yelling like racial slurs at him.
Yeah.
And they like had to pause the game and stop it. And then for him to come back and have 2 giant goals that like, I honestly thought, I was like, damn, they're going to draw this game. And then Liverpool just kind of put it into a second gear. But I think that's a great like individual performance for him. I think it showed some positive signs for Bournemouth as well, that like they have what it takes to compete, even though it was a loss for them. Also, like a close second, I would say, is just like seeing Ikitike for Liverpool. I thought he just had a really good start and was another big winner of the week.
I'm excited to watch him this season.
Yeah. So my 2 biggest losers. So from a player standpoint, and you're probably going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like Gyökeres was just like, to me, he touched the ball like 3 times. He had one decent cross that was like a missed bicycle kick. And I think like one of the big difference, like we saw 20 minutes of Sesko. He played like a majority of the game. So I just hope, I'm not saying like, I think he could turn it around, and I'm not judging him on this one game. But for the week, I would have to say he's one of the bigger losers individually.
I was surprised you didn't say Verts, but
Verts as well. But
throw them both in that loser box.
I think I don't know. I had like, maybe this just comes down to me playing FC25, and I've scored like 300 goals with Gyökeres. So I was just like, this guy's gonna kill it. Like,
what the hell? He's so good in the game. Where is he at?
Like Verts, I haven't even completed his SBC yet, so I'm like, I just have a higher pedestal for him, I think.
Yeah.
And also too, we touched on it. I think just like bad refereeing. I feel like there was just certain calls that, I don't know, I feel like could have gone, like if they would have called it differently on the field, I think there wouldn't have been enough to overturn it with the VAR. So it was one of the positive things I said, where it's like, if there's not enough cause to overturn a call, like they're going to stick with the referee said. And I like that, but that also doesn't excuse like if a referee makes a bad call on the field, to where it's like, it's to that point where like it could have been called either way and VAR is not going to overturn it. They're going to stick with the referee said. I think having good referees is like key for that like partnership between the reffing and VAR to work. And I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot of bad reffing calls throughout the games this week that I just hope gets better and more consistent throughout the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see. Only time will tell, right?
Yep. All right.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all we've got for this one. Obviously this is episode 1. I've got a lot of ideas for a lot of other things.
Yep.
I could literally jump into 3 more episodes. So our goal, I think collectively our goal will be post minimum of once a week. But
we'll do some fun things here and there.
Yeah.
We'll throw in some curveballs, and we love talking about it, but we also want to make it entertaining, and just you'll hear our unique perspectives and takes on things, and
our terrible American pronunciations. You'll hear us butcher team names and player names all season long.
Reindeer and
you won't even know what we're talking about. I think for this first one too, it's a little more free format, but I think it'll probably fall into
a little more structure.
A little more structure, because I think ideally I'd like to dive into the more technical aspects of things. Maybe like picking certain games and doing specific game previews where we dive into lineups and formations and how they play and this and that, statistics, all that sort of stuff. I think that'd be cool, because as a listener to other podcasts, I like the technical side of things too. So, and then to your point, some of the fun stuff. I'm gonna give you some blind rankings that we can see what you do. So more to come, right? I guess
maybe
until
even
then,
maybe some coverage on a little known Welsh team.
Not maybe, there will be. We need to have anybody who wants to see Wrexham information or Wrexham episodes. Stay tuned. I'm not going to go off on it because I'll go off on it for an hour, but we will absolutely have dedicated Wrexham information and shows. So click the subscribe button, the like button, so you can see when that comes out. We don't even have a subscribe and like button yet.
It'll be there. It'll probably be like somewhere either over here, maybe over here, or down in one of these 2 corners.
We'll work on it.